Welcome back to the Grim and Glamorous podcast, and we are your hosts, LBG, Andrea. This is the second part of our holiday podcast episode series, and in the first part we talked about Christmas and the holidays and different traditions that we have, and in this second part we wanted to talk about 2019 and the year ahead. We also wanted to talk about 2019. It's almost here, basically. If you're listening to this, it's probably already
2019. So Happy New Year if you're listening.
Happy New Year. And we hope your holidays in general were pretty good, but we hope your next year in particular is a good one. But we just kind of wanted to look ahead towards like maybe trends that we saw this past year, if they're going to stick around. Maybe things that we think are going to be big in 2019. And also like resolutions. I know a lot of people do New Year's resolutions, and I would probably say the majority of people forget about them.
Oh, yeah.
So just talk about like the idea of like, what's a good resolution, or like what are some common ones, to get into that a little bit. But I know a lot of people have things like, they want to start like exercising more. Like I think fitness is a big one. Eating better is another big one.
I think some people make like the goal to like get like a better job during the year, or to make more money. Stuff like that. Like,
I think it's interesting if you ask people like why they choose certain things. Resolutions, I guess, would be to make your life better. But if you think about it, like, it's funny that people choose stuff like that, because those are things that are like very like, it takes a lot of hard work to get those things accomplished, and it's not pleasant to do those. I have a lot of friends that are like into fitness, and they're like, okay, like they post on Instagram, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna work out, and the ones that are consistent about it, like, it's hard work. Like, they're not enjoying it. Like, they're like, this sucks, like, but I'm gonna do it because it's a goal of mine. Some people like working out, but like intense like cardio and physical training to get like healthier and like fitter, like, that's not easy to do.
Right.
And I think you see a lot of people have that goal, but they don't like take the process or put in the hard work to actually get there. Like for me, I've never been like super into fitness, but I do like running. Like, I'll try to run a mile or 2 miles every other day. Like, it's sort of just a habit that I've had from like doing sports in college and high school, but I've never been like, oh, I'm going to do a marathon, or I'm going to do, super intense training, because I don't really enjoy it, but I do try to stay like active and healthy. So I think there is that line of like, what's your goal exactly, and what are you expecting out of it?
And what are you going to do to like achieve it?
Yeah. Because I feel like if your goal is to be as fit as possible, like, that's going to be hard. And maybe like, not to say like a better goal, but maybe a more realistic goal would be, I'm going to take steps to be healthier. So I'm going to try to run a little bit, or I'm going to try to eat better food, or, stuff like that. Like, I think it's more manageable to be realistic and have like a smaller goal that's more attainable,
right?
Because you don't want to get like you don't want to get discouraged because you're not getting where you need to be right away. So yeah, if I don't know if any of you are planning on making resolutions, but I think that's just my opinion on how to go about it the right way. Set markers, and maybe have that goal of like, I want to be there, but don't get frustrated, because if it's a good goal, it's gonna be something that is gonna take a while to get there. But yeah, I mean, that's just something that I see every year. Like, people post, oh, I want this for the next year, and it's always something like fitness or healthy eating, or like you said, career stuff. Like that's another thing that it doesn't happen overnight. It's something that's going to take a while to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah, on that note, I don't think I'm going to pledge to do anything.
You don't have any resolutions, any goals
for the year? I don't know if I'm a big resolution person. I think I've done them in the past, but, you forget about them. And I don't think I have one for this year. I mean, yeah, I can't even think of one that I would want to do. Everything that I I am somebody that's very goal oriented. That sounds like such a resume job interview kind of word, but I do like to make lists and check them off as I go along throughout my day sometimes. But even I'll have okay, what am I going to do for school or for work for the next couple months. So I think I'm already that's something I do as part of my routine anyway. So there's not really anything that I want to do very different this year. I just got a new job that I'm going to be starting pretty soon. And that took some time to find that. And, to do that, I had to redo my resume and apply to jobs and do interviews and buy new interview clothes that. Those are all stuff that was part of that. And then school, I'm doing school, that's always something that's been important to me, but those are long-term stuff that 1 year is not going to make the difference. That's something that I've been working on for a long time. So maybe my resolution is just keep doing what I'm doing.
Just keep doing what you're doing until you get to the place that you want to be. Okay.
I think one thing I have been wanting to do is take another art class. I took a drawing class, but I really didn't pursue that as hard as I wanted to. Art is something that I enjoy. I like drawing. I want to learn how to do painting. That was something I did in high school, and I really kind of fell out of it. I know you were a big artist in high school too.
Yeah, I took a lot of art classes in high school and in college
too, right?
Yes.
I think it's fun. To me, I enjoy the process of I don't know, drawing. It's really relaxing for me. So maybe finding a good class that I'm comfortable with, that I can take my time and work on some stuff. But that's if I were to say I have a resolution, would probably be to find a good class, I guess. How about for yourself? Do you have anything, or what's your approach to resolutions?
New Year's resolutions are something that I never set for myself. I don't go out and be okay, 2018, I'm gonna go and do this, and this. Because like you said, it's sometimes they're just not realistic. So I think that this year I could just set small goals for myself to see because eventually okay, for example, I think that I don't like to eat a lot of meat, so I think maybe one of my goals for this year is to try to eat less meat, and maybe eventually one day, I'm not saying 2019 I'm going to be a strict vegetarian, I'm going to go straight into veganism. No, I'm just going to be eat less meat. And maybe eventually come to a place where I'm completely meat free. I think that would be something like that. And also I eventually want to go back to school. So maybe a goal for myself this year would be that I fill out the FAFSA. Because I hate doing the FAFSA. That's something I don't enjoy doing. So maybe this year I can just sit down and take a few hours and fill that out. Just to get the ball rolling.
The FAFSA, I do that every year, and every other year I forget to do it, and I'm late, and I'm oh crap, it's school's about to start and I haven't filled this out, and they're we're waiting on your thing, and I'm oh my god. And it is it sucks to fill that out.
I know, but, and I remember when I had to do it in high school for college, and I was I don't want to fill this out, and then you have to fill it out every year, And I'm like, I just filled this out last year. It's the same info as it was this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one of those, it's one of those things that you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of those things you don't want to do, but you have to do. But yeah, so like maybe I can go and fill the FAFSA.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to, I had something else too that I thought of. Oh, like maybe like take like a cooking class or something like that, because
Yeah.
I mean, I know how to bake. I don't really know how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be something like fun to do. Maybe like take a cooking class, like, I don't know, like maybe like one of those like one time cooking classes. Like, I think that would be like kind of cool to do.
Yeah, that reminds me, I was in downtown Santa Ana last week, and I went by, do you know where the Gypsy Den is?
Yes.
So, like, 2 doors down, there's, like, a cooking storefront, and all they do is, like, have cooking classes.
No way.
And there's, like, a schedule on the door. Every time I go by there, at night, like the evening, there's like a cooking class going on, and people are there with like their bowls and their whisks, and there's like a teacher, and they're kind of helping them out. And I think what it is, it's almost like a membership. You can pay for like a month of classes, or you can pay like individual ones.
Oh, that's cool.
Because when I went by there last week, there's like a list of the different types of classes they have, and they're all very different. So I mean, that might be a place to check out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I think that would be fun. Or I think another thing of mine too would be like picking up like another like hobby or something to do to like, just occupy time.
Mm-hmm.
There is this thing that I do want to do. That I've been wanting to do for a little bit was to like make something like on like a piece of on a piece of clothing. Like, I wanted to get like a denim jacket and then decorate it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what I want to do. So maybe like one of those goals would be like for me to like actually go out and design it and then actually put it together. Yeah, because like I don't know, I think we were talking about trends and stuff like that, like denim jackets with like patches and like little designs and stuff on it. Like, I want to create one of those.
Yeah.
So
when I briefly worked at a Levi's store when I was in New York, and I didn't work there long because I hated it there. It was just a toxic work environment. Like, my manager was terrible, and we all agreed. And if you work for Levi's or are affiliated with the company, you should listen to this because it's
not sponsored.
Constructive criticism. But anyway, they have like a custom area where you can create your own jeans, and then they also have like patches. Like, you can buy patches and you can like sew them on, or you can like add them to the sleeves. So I thought it was cool that they do that there. But if you get it done there, it is expensive. Like, it's like buying a custom, item of clothing. So it's like going to be several $100.
Really? Was that expensive?
To maybe like $500. Yeah. If you want to make custom jeans too, it can get really expensive depending on like what the material is, the fit, like the wash. It's surprisingly, it can get really expensive, like close to like $800 if you want your own custom pair of Levi's. But yeah, I think that was something that I saw in 2018. Just like denim, lots of denim.
Denim's never going to go out of style, though.
Yeah, I think we talked about that on our 90s show. But yeah, just to kind of wrap up the resolution thing, I think those are definitely some good manageable goals. But yeah, let's get into the just trends, I guess, like our predictions for 2019. I'm trying to look back at this past year and what did we see
this year for sure, it was a total like 90s throwback. So do you think that coming into 2019, do you think that throwback like towards clothes or towards the 90s in general, do you think that's going to stay? Or do you think it's going to like just be, you know, just a little thing that they have and that's going to, you know, fade away? I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, all these like fluffy jackets and like I think this I mean separately I want to say that another trend that I saw this year, maybe it'll be like more into 2019, is like the holographic trend. I don't know if you've seen like a lot of things that were like holographic, whether it was like holographic glitter or like you know, like bags, backpacks. I have a cool holographic backpack that I got in October.
I saw that.
I hope that doesn't go away because I really enjoy it. But I don't know. Do you think that those things are gonna go away?
You know, when we were talking about trends, when we did our second episode, we did talk a lot about like 90s and just like retro stuff, like 70s, 80s. I thought what we've seen in stores so far has been more heavily 90s.
Yeah.
If I had to make a guess, I would say that's probably gonna die out a little bit. And I would say probably we'll see at least spring 2019, definitely by summer. I think that'll probably be over, and then we're gonna see probably more influences from the other decades that they were touching on. So like more 80s and more maybe 70s stuff, because they're very different.
Yeah. Oh, here's something that I hope doesn't stay. According to Vogue, one of the trends for 2019 is bike shorts.
Bike shorts?
Yeah, like those stretchy, not short, not long, like right in the middle of your thigh.
Okay.
Bike shorts. And
is
I'm
this
like,
for,
this is Vogue. This is...
No, I mean, like, is this like men, women, everybody?
On the picture so far, it's on a woman, and it says that there, wow, there's a 1,323% increase in searches for bike shorts. Yeah. Not something that I'm into.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I feel like that's just the latest take on like athleisure and like yoga pants and sweatpants. Like that's just, to me, that kind of fits into that same realm. So I mean, I can see that happening, but I think people, okay, if I had to predict, is that going to be successful? I think we'll definitely see it more, but I would say I think people will fall back more towards just like yoga pants and sweatpants like we've been seeing. Because the other thing too is that like bike shorts, to me that's very like California, like those are fine to wear, if you can say that, if the weather's okay. Like when I was in New York for the entire like end of the year all the way through like February or March, even, people are bundled up. Like they're not
of
out
course,
in like shorts. So I think that's probably going to be more regional. So I would say if we were to see it, it would probably be around here.
It'd probably be around here
in like LA.
That's true.
But I would also say, I don't know, I don't really see that being super big. Although sometimes weird stuff like that does stick, and it's like,
yeah.
So, yeah, I could totally see that. you mentioned Vogue, and I'm reading about like their predictions for 2019 in terms of fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is that they're talking about how there's no like one overarching theme, and they say that kind of mirrors the world that we live in now, where there's just like a lot going on, but there's no like one like monoculture of like fashion.
Mm-hmm.
There's like different factions. Like there's one that they're talking about with like bohemian, like beach bohemian travel, like an array of cultures and colors, like
Mm-hmm.
as being like one kind of a thing. So they're calling it like bohemian California surfer girl
Okay.
and like Mediterranean holiday.
Mediterranean holiday.
I feel like that's just like Southern California in general.
I was gonna
like,
say, that's
very
like-
Venice Beach and like Santa Monica.
I was like, that's already
and
a
like
thing.
Huntington.
That's always been a
that's
thing
always
here.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just sort of, and like Vogue is like an East Coast institution. Like they're very dominantly set in like New York and like internationally like Paris and London. So I feel like, yeah. So basically California style stuff.
Yeah.
If there is
Okay.
such a thing. Trying to read what else. So going back to like the whole 90s discussion, they're saying like bold shoulders and like shoulder pads are coming back, like
Mhm.
boxy blazers with like loose cuts. Like that's very 80s to me. Like
Yeah.
that's a guy, like we're looking at Vogue on their website, and this guy has like a very big boxy jacket. Like to me that's like early 90s, 80s.
hmm I don't mind it. I mean, the boxy shoulder, I don't mind. If it's without like a shoulder pad, even better.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's sort of along the same lines of what we've been talking about, like just like decades style wear. Like that's very like 80s, 90s. They're also saying like beige. Beige is like a big thing right now, or that they're predicting. Bright colors.
I'm into that. I'm into bright colors.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're gonna start to get away from like the 90s stuff. They're saying like intricate black, so like not just like basic black, but like heavily detailed, like fringe, embroidery, different colors, like matte, shiny, so like glitz, glam,
Okay.
that type of a thing. So to me, like the 70s and the 70s was very like counterculture. You had like fringe and like very hippie, and I feel like that can fit into like that era, but it also can fit into like the bohemian surfer kind of a thing that they were talking about.
Oh yeah. It's very like Coachella vibes. That's
Yeah.
what that gives me.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is I feel like the 80s was very like colorful and bold and boxy, and I mean 80s to like early 90s. Because what we saw for like the 90s trend this past year, it was more like mid to late 90s, like band t-shirts and denim, and I think that's very different than like this type of stuff that
Oh yeah.
I think they're predicting is going to come out. So yeah, I mean, and there's always some overlap too, like between years and between trends. You're going to see a little bit of both, and then something new come in. So yeah, the bike shorts thing is kind of interesting because I don't think I would ever wear a pair, but
No, I'm not into it.
yeah.
Bike shorts and
Yeah.
a long t-shirt.
I'm very much against, like, I hate bikes in general, so
Oh, me too.
yeah, I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, we're not bike people.
Yeah, and I know the bike lobby is a very powerful political group
I
in this
know.
country.
So
but,
sorry.
I just think like, yeah, in New York especially, I was reading this book. There's a book that I just bought about somebody that moved to New York, and he's describing his life there, and he says one day he bought a bike because he wanted one. He had one as a kid, and so he went into the store, bought the bike, and he went outside, and he immediately regretted it because he's like, I probably almost got killed 3 or 4 times on the way home. He's like, because traffic is so crazy over there that you basically have to be insane to drive a bike in the streets there.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that. And then here, I feel like there's bike lanes and stuff, but like people get hit. Like it's just a very like not safe thing. And then they also just don't, in my experience, I've seen bikers that are just very slow and they clog up traffic or they don't pay attention, and it's just like...
No, I've known some people who have gotten hit by cars on bikes before.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, it happens all the time. I'm like, it happens all the time? I'm like, why do you continue to ride a bike?
Yeah. And we're talking bicycles, not like...
Yeah, not motorcycles.
Yeah. Because bikes, I mean, to me, it's like the speed and safety aspect of it. Like motorcycles, I know that they're, you know, like more dangerous than cars. And I have friends that have them, and, you know, they've fallen down a few times. But at least you're going like the same speed as a car. You know, if you're in a bicycle, you're just like huffing and puffing, and there's like 4 or 5 cars behind this guy, and he's not moving. It's sort of like, why are they there? So yeah,
but also respect them. Also respect them on the road. I mean, I respect bicyclists
of course,
on the road.
You're not gonna run them over.
I mean, give them what is it? The law is like you give them 3 feet.
Yeah. Which
I think is like nothing. I think you should give them more space.
Yeah, 3 feet is like they're right in front of your car.
Yeah, exactly. Like, give them more space than that.
Yeah.
Change lanes.
But yeah, we're very anti-bicycle on this podcast.
I guess so.
Kind of, but like we're kind of joking, but we're kind of not.
Yeah. So. Just drive your bike safely.
Drive them on the sidewalk for the love of God. Well, no, you know, Dad has a story that he was almost run down by a bicycle while he was on the sidewalk. And he was all upset about that because the bike...
Because they take up all the space on the sidewalk? Yes.
Well, because they were on the sidewalk and Dad was walking and they like ran into him. So there's really no good space for a bicycle.
No, really. Except for your backyard.
Instead of the comfort of your own home.
Except for a stationary bike in your living room.
Yeah. You know, even like not to get too into this. We've already been talking about it for a while, but... Even like the arguments that like, oh, I take a bike to work or I use it for transportation... Like, there's public transit. Like, there's buses. Like, there's more efficient ways to, like, get around. At least around here.
That's true.
In New York, there's no good argument for a bicycle on any level because you have the subway, you have taxis, you have...
There's not really room for bikes.
Uber.
If you think about it.
Yeah. On the subway, when someone brings a bike onto the subway, everybody rolls their eyes at them because it takes up so much room.
Yeah.
So, here, I guess there's more space or whatever, but...
I mean, even the buses will carry your bike for you.
Yeah. But, yeah, they're... Yeah.
Just take an Uber. Take a Lyft.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one gift I would never want for Christmas. You're talking about Christmas gifts. I would never want a bicycle because...
Honestly, okay. Like, one of the reasons why I don't like bicycles is because I don't fit on one. Bicycles are too high for me. Like, I don't...
You can lower the seat.
I can lower the seat to the lowest possible point, and they'd still be too high for me. And I'm not getting a kid's bike.
It's really not that much different.
I'm not getting a kid's bike because they just look like a little kid's bike, and I'm not gonna be 35 years old on a kid's bike, on a Ninja Turtle bike, on a Barbie bike.
Yeah,
maybe a Barbie bike. I think that would be cute.
There you go. Yeah, so that was our rant about bicycles, and just a long way of saying that the bike shorts trend may or may not take off. I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't.
I'm hoping it does not take off at all.
I'm trying to look at some other trends that could be coming out in 2019 just to kind of wrap things up on that. And I'm looking at like lifestyle stuff and...
Another thing that it says too, this is on like Fox News or something like that. Big showy necklaces, like statement necklaces. Mm-hmm. I'm all about that. I love a big showy, like, a big gaudy necklace. Like, those are probably one of my favorite things. Faux fur.
Faux fur?
Yeah. Faux fur. Love it. I
mean... fur is always a tough thing to talk about because there's a lot of people that are against it. A lot of brands have been, for years, trying to get away from using real fur products. And then on the other hand, there are some high fashion brands that continuously use stuff like, real leather or real fur. So, I mean, it just depends on your personal ethics.
It's kind of hard for me because I don't really think anybody should wear fur. You don't need a giant fur coat anymore.
Well,
remember in the
here.
50s? Yeah, like in the 50s where it was like so glamorous to have like a their big thing was like a mink jacket or a mink stole or a fox stole, shawl or something like that.
Yeah.
And okay, honestly, if you go to an antique store and you see a genuine fox stole or mink stole, they're just basically mink or fox carcasses sewn together. Have you ever seen one in real life before?
Yeah.
If you go to the Orange Circle, sometimes they'll sell them from the 50s or the 40s. And they're just animal bodies sewn together to try to keep you warm. That disturbs me in that really scares me. It grosses me out so much. I'm why was this so fashionable? Why would you want to wear a dead animal around your neck?
Yeah. See that I think that's a good point, and we were talking about this earlier. We went to go get food with Mom, and we were talking about cooking a lobster and how you actually it's alive and you have to put in the thing. I think that's such a good point that people don't really think about, and this goes for fashion in terms of leather and fur and animal products and cosmetics to food. If you're not vegetarian or vegan, what you're eating and wearing is most likely the product of a living thing, an animal or a plant or whatever. And so it's sort of I think it's something that people don't really register because we're so removed from the process of making it or it basically just buying it and consuming it without thinking about what goes on behind that. When I was in New York and working for this designer in the garment district, there was one street where they called it Fur Road. So it's basically animal furs and animal skins, leather, alligator, mink. There's specific stores on this street that's specialize in those products.
Right.
And it used to be a much bigger area. It used to be a whole block, or several blocks in the garment district. Now it's just one street. But yeah, for years, that whole area, people would just be carrying furs and and leather around in that district. But when you're going through there, you do kind of see it's actually the skin of an animal that was there. So I mean, everybody again has different ethics and things that they're okay with in terms of daily living. And I'm not somebody that judges, what's right or what's wrong for an individual. I think it's up to the person to decide for themselves. But what I think is important is being aware of those things. If you, you mentioned eating meat and eating less meat, that's a goal of yours this year. I think that should be true for everybody to think about, okay, I eat meat, I'm okay with it. But realize what are those practices that are used in the beef industry, the chicken industry, because I think if more people were aware of it, people would at least feel differently about it, even if you still decide to consume it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the same is true for fashion. if you see how it's made, you may feel differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one element of fashion that I think it can be controversial, and um, I would say if you're buying stuff and you're not really sure where it comes from or how it's made, even if it's something that you're like, okay, after you look that up and you're like, I'm okay with it, at least you should know something about that process. That would be just like my ideal. Whether you decide to buy something or not, it's up to you. Whether dietary reasons, again, it's up to the person. But I think it's best, you can sleep a little bit better knowing more about it. Or maybe less. Maybe it'll make you feel bad and guilty, and then you won't buy it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I hope so.
But yeah, those were kind of our trends that we saw could be coming up in 2019. If there's anything that you think is really going to take off that we really didn't cover, again, send us an email or reach us on Instagram and let us know. I wanted to also talk about, I always think it's interesting when, I feel like every time at the end of the year, if you go on like the news or you read like the papers or the tabloids, there's always like something about like, okay, like what's going to happen in 2019. And I feel like it's just such a dramatic world that we live in now. Like there's a lot of drama in all different areas, like constantly. Like there's social media, there's politics, there's like news, there's like natural disasters. Like there were fires in California that were really bad this year.
Yeah.
Like there's just been a lot of stuff in 2018. So if you were to guess, like, okay, 2019, is it going to be more of the same, or is that going to slow down a little bit? Like, what would you say?
I think that, like, I want to say it's going to be more of the same. Because I feel like nothing has really changed. Maybe, like, the fires and stuff like that. Like, I always feel like they're getting worse as opposed to getting better. So I think that's, that's, what is it? Global warming or whatever. Like, all that kind of thing, like
climate change.
Climate change, yeah. Like that's gonna get worse. But other than that, like I think everything else is basically the same.
Yeah. There was one like in one of the UK tabloids. They have like weird news, and they have like some lady in Bulgaria that's long dead, but she has like predictions or whatever for every year. And one of hers was like more natural disasters, she said, in 2019. And on some level, I guess it's kind of scary that somebody's like, okay, predicting for 2019, there's going to be earthquakes and floods. But I feel like on some level, that's not a big out of this world prediction, because I feel like that is something that we've been seeing.
Like, that's because it happens all the time now.
Yeah, it's like there's hurricanes and floods and fires, and maybe the big thing, I guess, would be an earthquake, because on the West Coast, like for years and decades, people have been expecting like a major earthquake, and that's always on people's minds over here. Like we'll have minor ones, but they're really not a big deal.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the
like
big
this
one.
Huge earthquake.
But we've also been waiting for the big one from like what? The 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, like, and even on a longer scale, like it's like thousands or hundreds or thousands of years overdue. So there's like the San Andreas Fault that runs through California, through like Los Angeles to like San Diego. So that would be the one thing where I would be surprised if that actually happened. If there was like an earthquake here or there that wasn't super big, but it was still like big, or like, moderate,
like big enough,
moderate, I would say like, okay, like that would be a major event. But I would be, shocked if there was like a huge one. But, I guess it's very, like, when you're making predictions like that, I guess it's very easy to just be like, oh, like, this will happen, this will happen. And then if it does happen, you look brilliant. And then if it doesn't, it's just like, oh, well, try again. But yeah, I would agree with you on that. I would say probably more like harsh weather or like hurricanes or floods or something like that. Um, and I think that just goes back to like preparing for stuff like that. It's just always a good idea to be prepared for situations like that, because they may not happen, but if they do, it's good to be aware and prepared for that. Yeah, I think my other thing about, okay, what will happen in 2019 or what do I think will happen? I would say, 2018 is when I really got into, like, I wouldn't say into social media, but more aware of what's going on different platforms. So, like, 2018 for me was, like, the year of YouTube. Like, and I think it's partially you to blame for this because you, like, got me into YouTube. But I became more aware of, like, what people are doing on that platform. And I think 2018 was this year when the platform changed a lot. And so, like, what's trending and what's popular and how YouTube presents that to people and how content creators go about making their stuff. I felt like this year was a year of, like, at least towards the end of the year, it was creators struggling with, like, how do we engage with people in a different way. So if I had to guess what would happen in 2019, I would say probably more experimentation in terms of creating new content. So I know like we're fans of like Shane, and he had like that big Shane Dawson, he had that like documentary series about is it like Logan Paul or
Logan Paul, he had
Jeffree Star,
The Graveyard Girl. I'm forgetting one. Am I forgetting one? I think I am. I think I'm forgetting one.
Yeah, but I mean that's okay. But
yeah.
He did this like in-depth look at people and like YouTubers and people in the media, and sort of like went behind the scenes. You get a little bit of more context to like their life and what they go through, and so you sort of view them in a different lens after you watch it, whether you like them or not, whether you agree with how they do things. I don't know. I think it's interesting that he did that. I don't know if I think that's where 2019 is heading. I just think there's going to be more ideas or new ways to connect creators with their audience. So like, I mean, for us, we use social media and we have this podcast, but there are so many different ways to connect with people. Email, Instagram, social media, Facebook. I feel like there's going to be more of a concentration, like better quality of interactions through less platforms, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? Like, do you think that like that was that something that we did see in 2018, just like new ways of like using?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that like the content got better this year. Like, I think that creators focused on quality as opposed to like quantity, because I've noticed that there's less videos, but also the videos that they do put out are more interesting to watch. There's more like put into it than what they used to, and it's not like a lot of filler. It's like stuff that you actually like are interested in looking at.
Right.
So I think maybe that like creators are gonna now focus on their content and what they put out, as opposed to gotta put a video up, gotta post an Instagram photo up today, like as opposed to like they'll stay relevant if their content is good, as opposed to we're going to stay relevant if we just post every 5 minutes. And I also see more people going live and talking to their audience and their followers that way, as opposed to not connecting with them. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, because some of them will just, like, you know, they'll post something and then everybody will comment on it, whether it's their Instagram or their YouTube or whatever. But now, like, you'll see more of, like, those social media people, the, you know, the influencers, the creators, they'll go live and they'll talk to their fans through that. And
like answer their questions.
They'll answer their questions.
And, engage with them that way.
And like I think they ask more questions now. They want to know, like, what do you guys want to see next? What do you guys think is interesting? Like, they want to know what we want to see, or, you know, what we want to hear, what we want to see. I think that's gonna go in 2019. I think that's gonna be something that they're gonna follow through with more. And also, I've seen a lot of, like, crossover things too, like social media people with people, like, on TV. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of, like, crossover. So I think maybe this next coming year, 2019, I think we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of, like, crossover, like, between, like,
traditional platforms.
Yes.
Like, and this sort of newer media.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good prediction. I definitely agree that interaction is something that I'm seeing a lot more. Just getting that feedback right away while you're, you know, having your content out there. And then one last thing, I think before we wrap up this discussion on 2019 and the new year, along those same lines, I don't know if you saw this, but Netflix has, like, a Black Mirror episode that just came out that's interactive. Like, you can choose your own story. So, like, as you're watching, there's going to be points in it where it you click on, like, what to do next.
No way.
Yeah, this just came out a couple days ago. And I thought that was really cool. Like, there were articles.
Did you watch it?
I haven't watched it yet. I'll probably do that this next week. But there were a lot of articles, like, the reaction to that, and sort of, like, how do you go about and find out all the endings or all the different paths. It kind of reminds me of I don't know if you remember reading, like, Goosebumps. There was at some point, Goosebumps had a book that was, like, choose your own adventure. So it was like,
oh yeah,
you would get to certain points in the story, and then it's like, if you want to take this door,
go to page
whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you want to choose the other door, go to this other page.
I actually like those.
Yeah, they're kind of fun. Like, they make it, you know, it's like not a traditional book, but it's fun, interactive. If you don't like what you got, you can go back and, like, you can read it several times to get a different outcome. So I think that that's interesting, and I think we'll probably see more of that. And Netflix has a lot. Like, they have a big budget. They have their own content now routinely. They're coming out with new stuff seemingly every week, every month. So if I had to guess, I would probably say we'll probably see more of that.
More choose your own adventures.
Yeah, because, I mean, the reaction so far has been good for this particular. It's like Black Mirror, like a special edition of it or something.
It'll be interesting to see, like, if there are any creators out there who will follow that, who will take that idea, and, like, maybe, like, Shane will have, like, a choose your own YouTube adventure or something like that. Like,
yeah,
you know,
that would be cool.
Maybe that's our
YouTube live episode.
Maybe that's the Grim and Glamorous podcast, like, resolution / goal, is to eventually get something like that going. Like,
that would be cool.
I mean, we do have a YouTube already, but maybe we
Yeah.
can do like a live stream, or we can do a like our first official YouTube creator video.
Oh, like actual video content. Like right now we just upload our episodes,
Yeah.
like the audio, to our YouTube channel. But you mean actually have like some video content out there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think those are two good goals to have,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the whole year to get to those.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
okay, we'll do one by half the year, and then the other one half. Or I don't know.
Okay.
We'll play it by ear. But
Well, we will.
yeah, but
We have a lot of fun things ahead, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think that wraps up our discussion. We talked about Christmas, some fun gifts, New Year's resolutions, and some of our predictions and trends that we think are going to happen this next year. But yeah, any final thoughts on what we were talking about? 2019.
No, well, if you're listening in 2019, hopefully you had a good and safe New Year's.
Yeah, 2019, we made it this far. I think that's an accomplishment in and of itself.
I think so.
And we'll see what the next year holds. But we hope, at least from our podcast, that you had a good Christmas and a happy New Year. And we hope it's going to be a great one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and take care.
See you next time.